What up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt White. So, I'm going to review a couple of movies that I missed out in the theaters that I've been dying to see these two movies, but I didn't get a chance. So, I decided to watch it on streaming. And the first movie I'm going to be reviewing, it is Robert Eggers' movie called Nosferatu, a gothic horror period piece movie that is taking place in the 1800s. And you're following this woman named Ellen who is haunted by a monster, a vampire that's tormenting her mind and mentally and physically, and evil has awoken. So yeah, there's been many versions that came out before Robert Eggers' take on it, and Robert Eggers is known as one of the best horror filmmakers in Hollywood today. He's the man who gave us The Witch. He gave us The Lighthouse, The Northman. This guy is such a great director, but he's always had a habit of giving us a trippy period piece, psychological horror movie, and making us feel like we're on the edge of our seats. And he always loves going back to the period piece and era. And he never directs a movie that is taking place in the modern day era. Maybe one day he might, but as of now, he still looks like he's just trapped in a different time period. And the production value continues to hit. I love how we were transported back in the 1800s and making it more authentic with the dialogue, the production value, the costume designs. And yes, this continues to be a little bit of trippy and it's on the edge of your seat because you're following this woman that is constantly tormented by this vampire named Count Orlok. And I thought that Bill Skarsgård, who was playing Count Orlok, who was the vampire, who was going around and causing havoc by creating this whole plague of disease, because his goal is to want to be with this woman. He wants an eternal life with her, and that's been his goal. And she refuses, and she tries to shut him out. But every time she tries to, it completely fails, and it always escalates. I thought Nicholas Hoult, who's playing the husband of Ellen, really knocked it out of the park for this performance. I mean, in this movie, he basically sold the soul to Count Orlok. And I didn't recognize like Bill Skarsgård playing Count Orlok, who was the vampire. He channels so many range of his performance, and this is the one of those unrecognizable performance that he has done since the movie that he did, It Chapter 1 and 2, when he played Pennywise, the dancing the killer clown. Dude, Bill Skarsgård is such an incredible actor, and you wouldn't even notice him. And as your the shooting in dark scenes in the dungeon and in the castle, they tend to hide his face and not reveal him too much. That was such a great editing technique that Robert Eggers tends to do so well, making us feel creepy and add some small slow scenes for the purpose of the story to make us feel like we're transported in it and we're in the moment with them, and you feel the terror and the horror behind it. And there are a couple of scenes that are so graphic to watch and very difficult at times. Yes, there's going to be like odd sexual scenes that's going to pull you out of it a bit. And I'm not going to say that this movie's made for everybody, but I will say that Lily Rose Depp, who is the daughter of Johnny Depp, she did a great job in her performance. Well, my negative is that as much as I enjoyed her performance, I will say that she was a little bit miscast. But that's not to take away her performance. I thought she did a great job. And you have a Willem Dafoe who's playing a researcher who's all about helping other people and finding out some of the crazy unknown that is far beyond their understanding. And he believes that there's something evil going around with this woman, Ellen. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's playing one of the friends who is a husband and who has two daughters and a wife, that is played by Emma Corrin, which you may have known her from who played the main villain in Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought that they did a great job, and he doesn't really believe that there's anything evil, that there's just some disease and there's something that they're sick and they're very ill. But a lot of people are dying around them, and now they have to put it to stop this monster for starting this whole big plague that everyone has been infected by. This is a crazy, trippy horror film I've seen in recent years. I won't say that this is the one of the best films of the year. I'm not going to say that's one of Robert Eggers' like best work. And I saw the extended cut on Peacock because now it's streaming on Peacock and you can go and stream it there. That's where you can get access to the movie. Yeah, this film was really good. I enjoyed the production value. The score was really good. And yes, there are some slow moments that it took a little bit while to get to the plot, but it still managed to pay off by the end. And yeah, there's going to be some weird, odd scenes that's probably going to make you feel cringe at times, but it didn't really bother me and was not a make or break. I'm going to give this a Nosferatu movie an 8 out of 10. I recommend you should check it out on Peacock when you get a chance. I recommend you should watch the extended cut. I have not watched the theatrical cut But this movie's like at least a few minutes longer than the theatrical version. I wish I would have gone out to see this in the cinema. I think that I would have been instantly transported into that world, and I thought it was really well done. All right, my next movie that I will be reviewing, it is a James Mangold movie. It is a musical biopic that is telling a story about Bob Dylan, and it's called The Complete Unknown, and it's starring Timothy Chalamet, who was playing Bob Dylan himself, which is taking place in the early 60s. You see him growing up as being a folk singer and having him rise on top of fame, and how his music it really made a cultural impact on the world. Look, when I found out that they were doing a biopic movie about Bob Dylan and Timothy Chalamet was going to be starring in that movie and James Mangold was going to be behind the camera, I was a little bit cautiously optimistic because of his last movie that he did with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which that was the biggest major disappointment in James Mangold. I mean, this is the guy who gave us Walk the Line. He gave us 3:10 to Yuma. He gave us Logan, which is arguably one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And he gave us For Viva Ferrari that got an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. This dude was on a roll. And with the Dial of Destiny, that was a one major bump on the road. And can he come back from it? I will say this. Yes, absolutely yes. I missed out on this movie in the cinema. I wish I would have gone out to see this in theaters. I bought this movie for $30 on VOD. I thought that this film was fantastic from beginning to end and how much they really captured that, how much Timothy Chalamet got his great acting range and staying true to who Bob Dylan was. Before this movie, I didn't really know much about Bob Dylan's personal life, and I didn't really know much about him. I mean, I know a couple of his music, like The Times Are Changing, Blowing in the Winds, Heart of the Rain Falls. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember exactly what the song title was, but a few of his songs were a bunch of bangers that really made a cultural impact on the world during the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, during the time of the Vietnam War or the Cold War, whatever. I mean, it was so good of how much he really changed everything about the music during his time. And we go through his a big love triangle with Monica Barbaro and Elle Fanning, which I thought these two characters were great, and I thought that the performances was absolutely fantastic. And yes, there is a love triangle, and it does have, and we explore the complicated relationship with him and two women in this life. I thought it was a little bit of odd choice, even though I'm not a big fan of love triangles, but this was one of the exceptions that I will give it a pass. And I have known nothing about his personal life. I don't know how accurate it was during that time, so take that with a giant grain of salt. But I love how they were able to capture the greatest hits of his music and how much that hit Bob Dylan was able to tell that story through his songs. And Timothy Chalamet played a lot of his songs in the movie, especially with the greatest hits. He did not lip sync. He definitely performed it in a live audience during the events of the Folks Tour when they had to recapture that time. And it was so good. And I thought Timothy Chalamet could do no wrong. He had a great year for 2024, especially with the movie that he came out with, Dune Part 2, and now this movie. I mean, this is a guy who played Wonka, who played a uplifting, funny, comedic, and who can sing. He's one of the greatest actors in our new generation in our time, and I can see why that he's getting nominated for Best Actor, and it's very well deserved. I still think he should have got a nomination for Best Actor for Dune Part 2. That one he pulled it off beautifully, but you could totally tell that how much he really is passionate of getting into the character and staying in character. That's a great thing about being a method actor, that you get to be anyone. He's at a point where he's worthy, an Oscar worthy actor, and I think he really captured it well. And he talks about in an interview about Bob Dylan and how much he had to do his research and how he wanted to capture of who that man was. I mean, he's still alive today, and I believe that Bob Dylan is supposed to be in his mid 80s, I think. I thought that what James Mangold did was able to capture the 1960s era and the production value and how he was able to capture his performance of performing his songs, playing his greatest hits. It's incredible. I've listened to those songs on my playlist, even the original Bob Dylan music, and maybe appreciate his music a lot more. I never knew what it really meant until I really listened to the lyrics. Dude, it's one of the best films of 2024. And after watching A Complete Unknown, I will say I'm probably going to have to bump this in my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. I already know I gave my list a couple of months ago, but after watching this movie, it really just changed my list. And I don't know which number I will put in. I have to really look into my list and do some little minor changes. Edward Norton, who is playing the man that is the one that helped Bob Dylan rise to fame. I thought he was good, and even though he's not in the movie much, but I thought he really delivered the performance when we see him on screen, especially when he's actually in getting an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor by Edward Norton himself. And we definitely explored through Bob Dylan's time where he wants to branch out a different genre and he really wants to play his new songs. But the people behind it, the people who are in charge for Bob Dylan's music, they wanted him to continue to play Volks music, and they think that they're not going to like his new songs that he's written. They want him to continue to play some of the greatest hits, but Bob Dylan refuses to do it, and he was like, "Screw that! I'm playing my new songs that nobody's heard before. I don't want to keep playing the same songs every goddamn time I play on tour for the rest of my goddamn life." He does come off a little bit of mysterious and much of a dick at times and very complicated to read, but that's so good thing about what Timothy Chalamet had captured, the mysterious. You really want to know more about it, what's going on in his mind, and the way he did it was so well done. And you get Johnny Cash, who's played by Boyd Holbrook, encourages Bob Dylan to play these new songs. Fuck what anyone else says. Do what you want to do. Be you and actually do what you want to do, and not let these corporate assholes tell you any otherwise. And it's very ironic that James Mangold is directing another actor to play Johnny Cash when he had another actor playing Johnny Cash in Walk the Line that is played by Joaquin Phoenix that got an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, which I don't know if he won for that performance. I could be wrong. I have to look into it. Overall, this movie is fantastic from beginning to end. I loved how they were able to play the Bob Dylan songs' greatest hits, especially with Timothy Chalamet played it, because the songs were really telling the story if you really think about it. And this is a big win for James Mangold. I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. This is a masterpiece. Check it out if you haven't already. It's available right now on VOD, and I believe it might still be playing in theaters at some theaters, not all of it, but if you can't get access to it, then your best bet is to watch it on VOD. I went and bought it right away because this was one of my most anticipated films of 2024, and it sucks that I didn't get a chance to see it in the cinema. Maybe one day they'll probably re-release it in the cinema. I already know that they're going to do that for the Oscars. I probably might not be able to do that on time, but who cares? At least I got a chance to see it. It's better late than never, and I think James Mangold still got it. And hopefully his next two movies with Star Wars and the DC film called Swamp Thing comes to the play. I think it's most likely that the Swamp Thing is going to get made than the Star Wars movies, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with the whole Lucasfilm drama. Now, have you seen Nosferatu and A Complete Unknown? Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Just make sure you keep it short and give your initial thoughts. You don't need to write a novel about it. Like, I'm not going to be able to read the whole thing. So just keep it short and straight to the point. If you want to follow my social media platforms, the link tree will be down in the description down below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you know when my videos are up. I do small talk every Tuesday. Definitely check that out on Ryan Cam's YouTube channel. And if you can't find it, you can just go into my YouTube playlist where I organized the playlist of each seasons of Small Talk, which is, in case you don't know what Small Talk is, it is a Smallville retrospective podcast show. So definitely check that out. And I got another thing coming up called the Batman Mentary, which is basically we're rewatching all the Batman movies throughout the years. We just got done doing Batman and Robin, and we're gonna do the Batman Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero movie. I'm so excited to get into that. So yeah, keep an eye open for that one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and it just shows you that you really appreciate my video and you support me. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from, and I hope you guys take care and stay tuned for more of my content.